Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to another live stream here on the channel. Hopefully everyone is having a fantastic Tuesday so far. Let's see what we have in the chat. We have Proxy, Christian, Caleb, as well as Caden, Legacy, Ben, and Void. Glad to see you guys all in here for another live stream, as well as all those who may not be chatting. Or if you are chatting and I just missed you, welcome Grumpy Grandpa, as well as Moon, as well as, let's see, everybody else in the chat. Glad to see you guys all in here. All right, let's go ahead and switch to our main scene. Just going to double check some stuff. Should be good. Yep, everything is good to go. Catman, glad to see you in here. Lucy, Carson, glad to see everybody in here once again. We got a lot of data to go over, quite a bit of uncertainty. What, in the second snowstorm? I didn't see that part of the 18Z GFS. That's a different snowstorm right there. All right, let's go back over here. And we're going to go ahead and stop looping this for just a bit. So glad to see you guys all in here. Now, the 4 out of 5 at the top of my face cam, it's pretty unusual for me to do that for an event that is 4 to 5 days out, to have the risk up there. But I do think that this will be a significant event, to the point where I'm comfortable with putting the threat level for Saturday above my face cam today. So I know that's a little bit odd, but I just want to do that because that's going to be the threat level we'll be at. If not, maybe even a 5 out of 5 for Saturday, Friday night, all day Saturday, and then into Sunday as well. Maybe even into Monday morning we'll be in that major to extreme category. So we got a lot of stuff to discuss, a lot of data to go over, and we'll start with just looking at the current map here. As of about 6 p.m. Eastern time. Not really a whole lot of notable activity across the U.S. We do have, of course, our little clipper system making its way across Minnesota, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, dropping some isolated heavy snow there. Some lake effect is really the big story for the next 2 to 3 days in terms of ongoing activity. It'll be that lake effect, upwards of 40 inches of snowfall up there. Across portions of just, I believe this is over Watertown. Yeah, right across, maybe a little south of Watertown, upwards of about 4 feet of snow possible up there. And then also Buffalo in that risk for, this is an additional 2 to 4 inches of snowfall there. But overall, for the last 2 days and for the next 2 days, so overall about a 4-day time frame, looking at about 40 inches of snow up there in western New York. Yes, Recon is in the air going towards just the general location. I don't know if they are actually in the air yet. I saw someone say that Recon was in this system already. but I know they're either going to be in the system or are already in the system, one or the other. Either way, we're going to be getting recon data in this. It's just a matter of if we have it now or a little bit later tonight. Thank you, Jessica, for the $5 donation. Good afternoon from Central Arkansas. Got most of our prep done today. Really glad to hear that. I hope you guys are finishing up that preparation stuff today. And if not, tomorrow is still, you got plenty of time tomorrow as well. But really, tomorrow is going to be when our panic crowd starts to really occur. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, y'all's panic crowd was already earlier this evening, but it's going to be even worse tomorrow. And then we're going to see a whole chunk of winter storm watches issued, probably for this entire area over here, going into all day tomorrow. And then maybe even tomorrow night, we'll start to see those watches going into Virginia, North Carolina. So panic crowd, like I said, it's already occurred out there in Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma. We've already seen that today. We'll see that even worse tomorrow. And then we'll probably see it back off a little bit on Thursday, but it will probably still be pretty bad going into Thursday as well. So let's go ahead and dive on into our most likely case scenario here. This is using the 19Z National Blend models here. This is your average between a bunch of different models combined into one graphic, so that way it will be easy enough for you to understand and to see. So I was looking at my area, obviously, but we'll start back out here towards Oklahoma. And looking like we'll see about a foot of snowfall near and northwest of the OKC metro. This area probably going to see about 8 inches to a foot of snowfall out here. We'll go through some extra model data to make sure that that is actually a very real possibility, but it seems like that's the main area for snowfall out in Oklahoma. Really in Tulsa, well pointing to the west into OKC, back into Woodward, Oklahoma, and then possibly even all the way down into the panhandle of Texas, back towards Amarillo. Like I said, 8 inches to a foot of snowfall possible there, all the way back through OKC. That's going to be our main area for Oklahoma. Going further to the east, eastern Oklahoma, I would expect at least 5 to 6 inches of snowfall if you are out here across much of Arkansas and Tennessee. Now, this stuff is going to change. A lot of this stuff is probably, honestly, on the low end. I think all of this stuff is really, really on the low end of things, and I feel like this is on the upper echelon, and like over here towards the mid-Atlantic, what you see back out in here is on the upper echelon. So I feel like our national blend of models are kind of not perfect. I think we'll have a little bit more snow in the middle of this, and I think we're going to see a little less snow out here in Oklahoma, and I think we'll see a bit less snow. Gracious day. 19 inches right there. What? I swear that wasn't there last time I checked. I literally checked earlier, literally before stream, and I swear this big blob of 20 inches wasn't here just a moment ago. So, yeah, that's the average, mind you. This is the pretty much the most likely case scenario out here in Virginia, 20 inches of snow. So, I'm very skeptical on this. A lot of people seem to think this is all going to shift north. Like, I've seen some people thinking the 20 inches of snow mark is actually going to be like way up here. Over the next 48 hours. Some people are just really thinking it's going to shift drastically to the north, and I'm not too sure why. Like, people are just saying it's going to shift north. It always does because I think so. Like, they have no evidence or no clear-cut point on why it could shift further to the north. They're just saying it's going to shift north because they feel like it. I feel like it's going to shift north. Like, that would be me saying I feel like everyone in the U.S. is going to get 50 inches of snowfall, so it's going to happen. It's like, you got to have some data here, man. You can't just say you feel like it. And in terms of me saying earlier, I have data to back this up. Remember, I literally just said I feel like it's underdoing this. I have data to back that up. Okay, I'll show you that data in a bit. I have my data and sources, believe me. I didn't just say that for fun. I do want to go over that with you guys. I haven't been able to go over everything myself. I did that in the video earlier, but I haven't been able to do a big deep dive. So, yeah, just glad to see everybody in here again. We're going to take this stream probably a bit on the slower side of things because I want to make sure we can get all the information out as possible. If you haven't already, we're only 10 minutes in, but it would greatly be appreciated if you go ahead and hit that like button and share the stream. It really, really helps to get this stream out in the algorithm, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. So this site here, it allows me to do multiple different things. So I can give you the lower end forecast for your area. So this is the lower end forecast for out here. The lower end, if this makes sense, the lower end most likely scenario. You know what I mean? Like if we do have a underperforming event, this is the most likely case for an underperforming event. And then I could give you the most likely case for an overperforming event, which would be this. Gracious day, I end up with almost 2 feet. I think I do end up with 2 feet with that one, almost 2 feet. And then, of course, like I said, I could show you the average between them. So for like Legacy, right now the average is about 7, maybe 8 inches of snow around your general vicinity. The lower end for you should probably be close to like 5. Actually lower end, a much lower ceiling out here. 1 to 2 inches of snow is your very low end. And then your upper echelon overperforming scenario for this is a foot to even 13 inches of snowfall. And this overperforming really starts to take more into account probably the European model run and the GFS model run. Those 2 new models we got are definitely on the upper echelon of things. So I would not be shocked if tomorrow we see the average actually become the overperformance. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't be shocked if actually other way around, the overperformance becomes the average. There you go. The overperformance becomes the average, where right now it says the overperformance is a foot for you, Legacy. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow that's actually the average. That would not surprise me. For you, Carson, you're like somewhere out in here. Your overperformance is a little over a foot with the average, I think, at about, 8, 9 inches of snowfall. And then the low end for you, let's see the low end. The low end is like 3 inches of snow. I don't know about that low end. That low end is definitely, that's definitely on the table. Because if we end up seeing too much ice occur out here, that could definitely substantially affect those snowfall totals. So that's why the difference is pretty big. The low end is 3 inches and the high end is like 13 inches. Big difference there because, ice is going to be the big factor here on who's going to end up seeing an overperforming and underperforming event. Back for you out here, Lucy. So you're looking at probably about 4 inches of snow is your overperforming. Your average should be about 2. Yep, your average is right about 2 inches, and then your low end is probably like 1, maybe 0. Yeah, your low end is 0. We'll see. We'll see. This is like the low end is kind of like the 12Z GFS scenario, which doesn't have, if I go ahead and show you that, the 12Z GFS scenario didn't have a very amplified system like north of Arkansas, like right in here. It just cut it completely out. It just stopped. Whereas the new one, if we take a look at the 18Z, you can see it kind of pushed all that further off to the north, a much more realistic scenario. And honestly, I still think the GFS is underdoing snowfall totals in this entire area. I still think it's underdoing that, because if we take a look at the Canadian model run, that gives Gracious Day, that gives Lucy like 8 inches of snowfall right there. And the European model run here gives Lucy about 4 inches of snowfall. So I think the GFS is doing terrible, long story short. But I'm unsure. I'm honestly unsure with the system, because a lot of people are saying it's going to shift further north, and I don't know about that. I mean, we'll just have to see. That's why I'm really just going to be sticking with this website today, because it just seems to be the average, and that's what I'm going to go with. South Jersey, so South New Jersey here. So this is your, Gracious, this is your average. That's New Jersey, right? See, this is what I'm talking about. Like the average between, this is the blend of models, are more accurate thing. Shows 14 inches of snowfall for y'all, but this is the newest 18Z GFS, and okay, it did uptick a lot for y'all. It went from 0 to 8 inches of snow for you guys in New Jersey. My goodness. Look at that. It went from literally 0 inches of snow to 8 to 9 inches of snow. So, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that new guide. If not, maybe, yeah, that's why it's showing even more, because the Canadian has a foot. The European model run has maybe even a little over a foot. Yeah, 15 inches of snow, 13 to 15. And then the new GFS is actually the low end for you guys. So yeah, southern New Jersey, probably about a foot, maybe a little bit more. Your high end is going to be close to 20. Yeah, 20 inches. And then your low end, maybe like 10, I could have told you that myself. I don't even need this website. I don't even need this website. Let me see. Lucy, if you want this exact site, I got a shortened link. I got the shortened link today. So that way I could share it with you guys. Because this is a long link. But here's the shortened link. So, yeah, that's the site I'm using. And then I think someone said, like, down in the Piedmont area. Like I said, the Piedmont is very uncertain. This, probably the most uncertainty lies in here. That's probably where the most uncertainty lies in this entire region here. Because further south, it's likely going to be ice and a little bit of snow down here. In the middle, it's kind of like, okay, you could end up with a big-time snowstorm or a big-time ice storm. And then north of that, it's like, okay, probably a big-time snowstorm. So that's really where, like, my most uncertainty lies, right in that area. So, like, for instance, Greensboro, your medium is 10 inches of snow. Your high end, 16 inches of snow. But your low end is 3. So that low end is way lower than most locations' low end because of if it's all ice, you're going to get, very little. You're going to get very, very little snowfall there. But if you don't get ice, you could get 9 to 10 inches of snow. And then if you don't get any ice or any mixed precipitation, you could get that higher end 15, 16 inches of snowfall out in Greensboro. And then this is the high end out here for Arkansas, which I think looks a little bit more likely. In my opinion, this looks a bit more likely. The average is like 2 to 4. I think it should be closer to probably like 5, or rather like 4 to 6. I think the average out here should be 4 to 6, not 2 to 4. Central New Jersey. So this is the average. You guys are actively uptrending right now. We'll have to see how far north this shifts. A lot of people seem to think it's going to shift a lot further north, but right now, I'd say we could probably anticipate this is a big spread, but somewhere between 6 inches to a foot between just north of New York City and down to central New Jersey. Like this area right in here, I'd say between 6 inches to a foot is a very real possibility. It's hard to say which one, but I think like 6 inches is your low end, and then maybe possibly even more than a foot. We'll have to see how far north this trends, because if we go to like our new model here, the 12Z European, yeah, you could see that shows like a foot in downtown New York City, central New Jersey, closer to 14 inches. So, yeah, I know that's a big spread for this area, but we haven't nailed down those snowfall totals yet. We really just got to see how far this stuff shifts. So once again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. It's really appreciated. It helps us push us further out to the YouTube algorithm. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know when I go live, because I will be live frequently now with this winter storm. I don't know how much we'll cover it, but we'll definitely be live for multiple updates leading up to this snowstorm. And then we'll see if I can get one more video out. So southeastern Virginia, I think that's another area with high uncertainty. Not too high. Your low end, like the minimum snowfall, is probably about 5 to 6 inches of snowfall. I'd anticipate, this is what I would expect. I would expect about maybe a little less than that. I would expect maybe 10 inches of snowfall. And then your higher end is probably a little bit over a foot, like 15, 16 inches of snowfall. Even though this says 20, I don't know about that. Yeah, like this is your ultimate high end, in my opinion, the 12Z Euro model. I think that's like your ultimate high end is like 17, 18 inches of snowfall. And then the Canadian is a bit more realistic of one where it has like 7 to 8 inches of snow. Let's see what the GFS 18Z has here. Yeah, and then this has close to a foot. So yeah, I would say 10 inches of snow is a very reasonable expectation for like Virginia Beach. Southern Indiana, that's a pretty tough one. That's a very tough one, honestly, because we have a lot of uncertainty. You could see this is one model, and that covers most of Indiana in 6 to 8 inches of snow. The next model one has southern Indiana and almost a foot of snowfall there. Yeah, 11 inches of snow. And then the GFS has no snow. And the new GFS has 3. So Actually, it has 5. So if I were to do the math, I'd say expect about 6 to 8 inches of snowfall out in southern Indiana. Let's see what our Belinda model says. This says 4 inches, 4 to 5 in southern Indiana. So yeah, 4 to 5 inches of snow. Right about there. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Is that central? Where is that? That should be eastern, is it? I recognize that name. I'm going to just look it up. Look up Chattanooga, Tennessee here. Yeah, it is eastern. Yeah. I thought it was eastern because at first I thought it was central, but then I realized I passed through that in April. So yeah, your average, which means your most likely scenario, is about 4 inches of snow. About 4 inches of snowfall there. Your low end is 2, and then your high end is 6. So I'd say 2 to 4 is a very reasonable forecast out there. 2 to 4, but it's hard to say. It's always difficult to say this far out. I know we're only like 4 days out here at this point, but it's difficult to say because some of these models have a lot more moisture available, and so we see just a cram-packed amount of snowfall on both the dry slot area back where the cold air is drier and the cold air is more filled with moisture. It's a lot more packed up here, and then back where that snow and freezing line is, it's also more packed, just simply because you have more moisture and it's a bit more cooler. And then with another model run like this model, it's not as packed on that southern end. It is still a bit packed, and then there's like nothing on that northern end. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Right now, I would say about 4 inches of snowfall for Chattanooga, but don't be surprised if that goes up quite a bit. I would not be shocked if that goes up quite a bit as we trend probably just overall larger as a winter storm. Let me switch this back to the average. So again, that's your average snowfall. So there's quite a bit of uncertainty with this storm. We know it's going to be a huge snowstorm, and we know somebody's going to end up with multiple people, probably millions of people, will end up with a foot of snowfall. And there is a chance we end up with upwards of 2 feet of snowfall in the mid-Atlantic, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly where all of that stuff will be. We can give a general estimate, which is, like I said earlier, somewhere in here we'll likely end up with widespread a foot of snowfall. And then somebody in there is probably going to end up with 2 feet of snowfall as well. But there's a lot of uncertainty on exactly where that will be. It might be a little bit further up to the north. Fingers crossed, I'm sorry, but I don't want that to happen. Or maybe even a little bit more south. But I really don't see this shifting much more south. Because if we take a look here at the Canadian model run, I really think this is almost overdoing it. It has that freezing line, substantially the 540 line, really far north, and it has those high pressures, honestly strong high pressures, but they're really like not even pushing the storm further to the south. And if we go to like the GFS model run, you could see it's way more obvious that these high pressures are forcing it further to the south. And then that freezing line, not really too much of a difference with that freezing line on the GFS compared to the Canadian, so it must be a surface issue. It's not even a surface issue there. So honestly, don't know why the Canadian model run is deciding to give a beast of an ice storm to us out here in the Carolinas. I'm not too sure why it has that sharp cutoff back out in here, because really that should stay mostly snow, to be honest with you. It honestly shouldn't have all of that as ice. But the good news is, for snow lovers further to the south, the Canadian model run's been an outlier. However, it has been shifting slowly to the south. Watch these few runs here. Watch that 540 line. You see that purple line? Watch where it is. Right now on this particular run from yesterday, it's up near the DC Metro. And if you look at like this morning's run, look at that shift all the way to the Virginia-North Carolina border. So a huge shift. And even it doesn't look like the newer run. Yeah, the newer run was that huge shift to the south. So we might even see a bit further south of a shift tomorrow morning. And then we'll see if we shift a little more north Thursday. That's normally what happens. If we shift one way one day, The next day we shift the other way, right back to it. So it's just good to kind of find a middle ground, and that's what this shows. This shows the middle ground. Canadian's an outlier. I wouldn't really say it's like a huge outlier. I would say it's an outlier for how far south the storm goes, like in here. I would say it's not picking up well at all for snow there. And it may be slightly overdoing some snowfall totals in the Midwest, like up in here. It may be overdoing some of those snowfall totals by maybe 2 or so inches, but it's not a huge outlier. I think it just needs to shift a little bit more south, and then it's probably in line with our main guidance. Yeah, this is the 12Z. This is the newest run. But either way, I do want to stress this. This is probably going to be historic. Really, for millions of people. We are looking at a devastating winter storm. This is not the type of winter storm that is, typically fun, right? Yes, it's going to be fun for some people, but for most of us, it is going to knock out our power for possibly a week or two. In some of these prone areas, we can lose power for literally a week or two. In some of these areas that literally could get like a foot of snow and then ice on top, or ice first and then a foot of snowfall. I mean, we are looking at a significant winter storm, one that we haven't seen in probably anywhere between 6 to 20 years. At least 6 years, minimum 6 years. I would say probably ever since 2016, maybe ever since 2014. 10 to 12 years we haven't seen a winter storm to this magnitude, because we are talking about almost a coast-to-coast storm system here. We're talking about from the central Rockies to the coastline of the eastern U.S. For significant winter storm impacts. You can see those snow totals. I mean, that's a lot of snow, man. That's a lot of snow. We're looking at 6+ inches of snowfall across like this entire area in here on this particular run. Like that whole region. That's probably, if I had to guess, that's probably over 100 million people. Considering that includes the eastern seaboard, or right along the eastern U.S. Coastline, probably closer to like 150 million, honestly. So let's look at the GFS newest Ensemble mean snow accumulation. I have not looked at this yet. That's an uptrend. That is a big uptrend. Let's go check the old run. That is a big uptrend for Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, even Oklahoma, Texas, even Virginia, and especially Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Look at that Ohio cutoff. The cutoff for Ohio goes from like near Cleveland back to almost into like South Bend, Indiana, almost into like the eastern side of Indianapolis. So big shift there as well. And you could see also a little bit of a north tick too with that snow line here closer to St. Louis. Watch as I shift these models here after I clear that. So really this grows everywhere. It goes north, south, northeast, and even southwest. I mean, it really grows everywhere except for like southeastern North Carolina. Like this is the little area that it downtrends at. That's like the little region it downtrends at, and maybe a little sliver of like Mississippi and Alabama too. But really that uptrends for most people there. And I'm curious what that is. Is that a foot? Yeah, that's a foot. That is a foot of snowfall on your mean accumulation on the GFS ensembles. I don't like how it's dropped me all the way down to 8 inches. I think the one look at that shift from yesterday. Yeah, pretty clear northern shift there on the GFS ensembles over the last 18 hours. Which was to be expected because the GFS was so far to the south, so that's really to be expected. And then let's take a look at the... Oh, we can't do it that way because it's too far out. But there's the 12Z European. There's the 0Z European. I mean, that really hasn't changed a whole lot. And then if we go to yesterday's, really it looks in alignment, right? Definitely way more amplified. Look how much more amplified it is for like this area up in here. It's way more amplified up here. Big time uptrends for the New England states. Huge uptrends. Well, I would like, Caden, honestly, I would like about like 9 inches to a foot. I would love that. I don't know, like 7, 8 inches. I honestly would like a little bit more than that, to be honest. But I don't exactly want the 30 inches of snow that the GFS throws at me. I don't exactly want that. I don't want that. And so I do think this will shift quite a bit further to the north. I think that main area of snow will shift a little bit closer to like this area up here. Maybe barely including me. And then I do think these snow totals will probably come down quite a bit on the GFS. I don't agree with like southern Tennessee getting 20 inches of snow. I don't agree with that. And I definitely don't agree if we go back to Arkansas. I definitely don't agree with like Little Rock getting 20 inches either. But you could see why earlier I said I don't feel like this is correct with it saying like 2 to 4 inches of snow, because the European has 20 inches, or rather the GFS has 20 inches. The European has 20 inches, and the Canadian has like 8 inches, 8 to 10. So I don't see a reason why our average, if you do an average between 8 to 10 inches of snow, 20 inches of snow, and 20 inches of snow, the average is probably going to be about 15, not 2 to 4. So that's why I don't really agree with this saying, see, yeah, like this is saying literally like 2 to 4 inches of snow across much of Arkansas. I don't agree with that. I think 4 inches of snow is like the minimum out here. Should I evacuate? Nah. The problem is this thing ain't a small winter storm, so if you evacuate, you're going to hit something else. Like if you're wanting to evacuate from getting snowfall and you're in like southwestern Pennsylvania, you got to drive all the way to like South Dakota or all the way down to like southern North Carolina. But then if you drive down here, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get an ice storm all down in here. So then you actually got to drive down to Florida. So that's why evacuating for a snowstorm doesn't really work out too well. Florida's going to be like the only safe state east of the Rockies. Yeah, I know you live in western South Carolina, so I mean, if you have to evacuate, sure, you got to go down to Florida. You're probably going to get an ice storm. Man, somebody is going to be out of power for a week, maybe even a little bit longer. Let me actually do the average for ice. If we go over here, freezing rain, statistics. So we're going to do the mean. This is the average, and there you go. Almost an inch of ice. This is the average, mind you. So 2 big hot spots. 2 big hot spots. RIP Sam. And also back out here in Louisiana and Arkansas. What's the 95 percentile? Okay, that's the ultimate high end. That's, oh my goodness. Could you imagine? That's the ultimate high end right there. Everybody gets an inch and a half of ice. Let's do the probability. What is the chance of you getting 0.30 inches of ice? Because once you get beyond that, that's when we're talking about significant impacts. So 70% out here in southern Arkansas and northern Louisiana. Almost 75 out here on the border of Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana. Columbia, which is where I know a really good weather enthusiast who lives out there. 70% chance for, what is that, like a third an inch? I think that is a third an inch of ice. So there you go. That's your probabilities for a third an inch of ice, which is considered near, probably significant. And then if we go to crippling ice storm, which is an inch, that's where you're talking about potentially power being out for multiple days, if not near a week. That is really focused in Arkansas, Louisiana, and then crippling ice storm, not impossible back out in the Carolinas. Really 2 big time hotspots there. Big time hotspot, especially out, different color. Big time hot spot here, and a pretty good hot spot here. And if we take a look here at probability for snowfall, because I'm sure some of you guys are probably going to want to know that now, we'll do half a foot. 6 inches of snow. What are the chances you get 6 inches of snowfall? And there is your probability. So Virginia, most of us are above 50%. So I'm out here at near 80. Most of Central VA is between 80 and 90. Back out in the triad, you're at about a 50 to 60, depending on exactly where you are. Back out in Tennessee, you're closer to between like 50 to 60 as well in central and northeastern Tennessee. Southwest Tennessee, 40 to 50, generally right about there. Central Arkansas, right about 40 to 50 as well. And then you get back towards Oklahoma City, and that's where you go up to, 60, 70 in OKC back towards Tulsa, and then up to about 80 back out in Woodward, Fairview, those areas northwestern Oklahoma. So that's your probability of getting half a foot of snowfall there. And again, 2 hot spots. Same, with the ice, it was down here and back over here. With the snowfall, it's back up here and up here. So 2 hot spots. And you'll notice kind of a, very close proximity, right? Your ice storm is worse here, and your snowfall is worse, maybe about a couple 100 miles to the northwest of that. And these 2 are in very close proximity as well. They're not like very far from each other. It's not like your ice storm is worse over here and then your biggest snowstorm's over here. It's in close proximity to each other. Hello, Misty. Glad to see you here. Sleet totals, I don't think I can look at that with this at least. Really, it's mainly snowfall and freezing rain. I don't know if I can look at sleet totals like anywhere. Did my area downtrend? No, it hasn't downtrend. It didn't downtrend at all. This is the average, and like I said, yours is about 10 inches. I think I said 9 inches to a foot for you. And this says 10 inches. And again, if I go ahead and show you all these model runs, the new GFS has you getting like 2 feet. The European has you getting a 1.5 feet. And the Canadian has you getting like, actually almost a foot, if not a little over a foot. Right about a foot. So, no, you haven't downtrended. Springfield, Missouri. Let's go find Springfield. So, most likely you're going to get about 4 inches of snowfall. It wouldn't surprise me if you get a bit more. The high end for that area is about 6 inches of snowfall. It wouldn't surprise me if you get between 4 to 6 inches. The question is just how sharp of a cutoff are we talking about? Like the GFS has a sharp cutoff for you, and that would be where you end up with like 2 inches of snow. But the European has like 8 inches for you, and the Canadian has like maybe 6 to 8 inches for you. So I think right in the middle. A little bit more than 2 and probably a little bit less than 8, which is about 6. How much ice can middle Georgia see? You guys are probably at, I'd say like the second highest risk for a major ice storm. So some of our models here, like the GFS, I think the GFS and the Euro both have about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of ice back out in central Georgia. So like this entire area, really, all of central Georgia, probably going to see big time power outage issues. And most likely you'll see between, I'd say 1/2 inch to 1 inch of ice out there. I don't think we'll be seeing much snow that far south. So definitely a bad ice storm. So I'm cooked. I mean, your power is probably cooked, but as long as you're not traveling a bunch, you'll be fine. The biggest problem with ice is people travel a bunch, and that causes big time issues. And then Probably the number one issue is those power outages, long duration power outages. I mean, if we do see an inch and a half of ice, you could be looking at a week without power. I remember I got a quarter inch of ice in Virginia one month, and or one day I got like a quarter inch of ice, and I lost power for like 3 days. And then a year later, I got this almost the same amount of ice, and I had like no issue with power at all. So sometimes it doesn't mean you're going to lose power. Just pretty good chance you will with that much ice. All right, let's see here. I'll go back to the 12Z. There we go. 18Z. Yeah, also another thing I wanted to note is when you are looking at these models yourself, the 10-to-1 ratio is not going to be very accurate with this. You can see that's a 10-to-1 ratio. What that means is 1 inch of rain or 1 inch of precipitation will equivalent to 10 inches of snow. We're not going to be dealing with that. We're probably going to be dealing with a 20-to-1 ratio in most spots, where 1 inch of rain accumulates to 20 inches of snowfall. And that's probably going to be across like this entire region in here, where we can see that type of moisture content, and maybe even back out in Oklahoma and western Arkansas as well. So that's why, like, if you could tell the difference when I use 10-to-1 and then the other snow totals, how it's a lot higher with this snow totals compared to this one. And even this one could be underdoing snowfall totals, specifically on that far northern edge. Specifically could be underdoing snowfall totals up here. I think it's overdoing these. So we'll have to see where things trend. I don't know exactly what direction. Obviously, we've been having a pretty clear northern trend with the heaviest snow totals here. Really the entire day, we've been trending further north and heavier snow totals. So I just hope it doesn't trend too far north, because a lot of us down here, a lot of us over in these regions here, we really do want a really good snowstorm. So I just hope this doesn't trend. Sorry to anyone who likes snow up there in the New England states. I hope it doesn't trend to up here. I hope it doesn't trend to up here to where we miss, like, literally we only get like 4 to 5 inches out in this area. Like I said, I don't need like a foot or 2 feet of snowfall. It would be nice to get about a foot, but I mean, even this, like 8 inches, I guess I'll take that. It would just be very, it would be weather, honestly. Let's be honest. Like this area, and you're thinking the exact same thing. Whenever models tend to be this consistent, they always tend to trend away from you. Like you could tell here, it was like consistent on me getting a big snowstorm, and then today it's just started to trend a bit further to the north on the ensembles. So, and the ensembles are really what you want to listen to, honestly. I would love to listen to the European deterministic, and especially the 18Z GFS deterministic that has almost 3 feet of snow in Greensboro, but ensembles are always superior. They are always superior. And then I also want to show you that trend. Let's go back out to Oklahoma, because I haven't talked really enough about Oklahoma with these trends here. You can see the ensembles. Remember, the national blend of models was really focused on this area for the highest snowfall totals. The ensembles are really focused on a much larger swath for those 8 inches to a foot of snowfall being possible, which I find interesting. So it's kind of like our two main things disagree, which is annoying, because that means there's a bit of uncertainty, quite a bit of uncertainty. Like if you look here, our blend, our most likely case scenario, according to our blend, is about between 4 to 6 inches of snowfall out here. Whereas I guess our ensembles aren't too far out. Yeah, these are much closer to like 7 to 9 inches of snowfall though. So, it's a good 3 to 4 inches higher on this um, compared to our blend of models. Weather app now says 11 inches to 14 inches of snow Saturday. It's very possible. It's very much possible. But I'm just not really jumping the gun on saying you're gonna get that. I would say closer to like. Looks like this changed again because I swear the mean was lower than this. But yeah, I'd say about 8 inches of snow is probably the average out there. That's what I would say. If I had to give you a forecast, that's what I'd say. 8 inches of snow is the most likely scenario. Let's see here. The new 18Z European model run brings even more ice. Ouch, man. All of North Carolina is straight ice. South Carolina, Georgia, much of Tennessee, central northern Alabama, much of Mississippi, northern Louisiana, much of Texas. It's all ice instead of snow. Man, I hope that trends the other way. I hope it trends to snow, not ice like it is currently. So, we'll see. We'll see which way things go. But either way, we're looking at a big snowstorm. It's going to be a while before we can figure out who's going to get the most snow. We can give an estimate, which you can clearly see here. Most likely, this region in here is going to be the main area for snowfall. But the new Euro model one just contradicted that and said, "Hey, screw you guys! This entire area is now all ice." So now the only area that gets straight snow is like way up here. And then also, the northern portion of that, like up here in these areas. So I'll have to take a look at that when it comes in. I can't look at the entire 18Z run. I can only look at a portion of it. Yeah, it also people gotta quit. Honestly, gotta quit using the 10-to-1 ratio. It's not gonna pan out like that. The 10-to-1 ratio is just not gonna. It's not gonna work with this. Like I said, you honestly you're better off using a 20-to-1 ratio than a 10-to-1. Because it's going to be underdoing those snowfall totals so much. We don't have an atmosphere that is a 10-to-1 ratio. It's closer to, like I said, to Lucky. It's closer to like a 15 to 20 to 1 ratio where we end up with 15 to 20 inches of snow per inch of rain. Yeah, like I said, I won't be able to see the 18Z Euro model, but it decreased like everybody's snow totals went down. Everyone's snow totals went down on the new run. Except for the extreme northern tier of the country. Like literally like the heaviest snowfall on the new Euro is up in western New York at that point. Which I know that is also counting for the lake effect that is currently ongoing. But like it literally has even the 12Z Euro has the heaviest snow up in like western New York. It does still deliver. It's such a sharp cutoff. I mean, it's like an inch of barely even an inch of snow for central NC. A half inch to an inch for central NC. I'm right on that cutoff, so somehow I still end up with a foot of snowfall on the new run. But compared to this one, I mean, it went from 17.2 to 12. And then I can't see. And then, gracious, for Nashville, it went from like a foot to 4 inches. Like it all shifted north. The heaviest snow totals are also way back up into like southern Indiana too on this new run. It's much more in a line with actually, believe it or not, the Canadian model run. Uh-oh. I think College of DuPage is freaking out. All right, let's see if I can get that Euro run back up. But honestly, it's probably going to trend south now. There's no way. Please don't go further north. Like, come on, dude. It downtrended for every person, like south of the Northeast, snow-wise. And it gave like everybody's just ice. You want 2 inches of ice? Go anywhere in the southern and central U.S. Just stay away from the New England states, according to that new run. It looks a lot more like this. It looks a lot more like this, where the heaviest snowfall is like up in here. And not so much down in here. And it also takes away like all of this snow too. Like nobody in that area I just drew over has snow at all on that run. Well, the thing is, if it trends more north, it's going to be trending more north up here for people up here. It's not necessarily going to be up trending for Indiana. Indiana could still get, 6 to 8 inches of snowfall, and I could still get close to a foot. The problem is when Indiana gets 6 to 8 inches of snowfall, and instead of this all being snow over here, it turns all of this to ice. It wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't be the first time. It happens so often. We are pretty far out though. Like literally, this is still from the heavy snowfall totals beginning. We're still about 100 hours out. So there's plenty of time for this to change. I just know how often Mother Nature completely destroys setups. Like we had a great setup the other week where we had a low pressure developing here. And it was all rain. We didn't have enough cold air, so all of us ended up with rain in here. Georgia got like 4 to 6 inches of snowfall, and everyone in here ended up with like an inch or two of rain instead of like 10 inches of snow, or 5 to 10 inches of snow. I haven't seen an ice map actually yet. Let me see. See if I can find anyone who's posted an ice map of it. Let me close some of these tabs before my computer screams at me. Yeah, everybody's posting like the snowfall totals and then the precipitation type. No one's posting the actual ice, the ice totals. But I'd have to imagine it's a huge swath of 1 to 2 inches of ice across a ginormous portion of the southern and central U.S. So, yeah, either way, I know we're going to be seeing significant impacts. I would just much rather have it be significant impacts from snow as opposed to 2 inches of ice. I think every single one of us here would rather have 20 inches of snow than 2 inches of ice. Unless you're a little bit crazy, honestly. Charleston, you're probably going to get about 8 inches, I'd say. At this point, maybe even a bit higher, considering it continues to uptrend. But I'd say probably 8 inches of snow. See, if this happens, we can all be pretty happy, right? I mean, honestly, most of us get a bunch of snowfall out of this. Except for southern Indiana. It'd be nice if southern Indiana gets a bit more there, which I think will happen. I don't think southern Indiana will end up with an inch or two. It's probably going to be closer to 4 to 6. So, yeah, but again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button and share the stream with your family, friends, social media. Share the channel. It's really appreciated. And again, if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all, so you know when I go live or upload another video. I will be, what's tomorrow? I don't even know what day it is. Wednesday? I'll probably end up doing another live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Most likely I'll end up doing another live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Apparently there's auroras all the way down to Central Virginia right now on newer phones that can pick up the auroras. But honestly, I've seen a lot of auroras. I'm not even too interested in it anymore. I'm not even going to bother going outside. Yeah, like, look at this. This is no fun, man. This is no fun at all. Like, maybe three of these ensemble members keep me complete snow. 3 out of 20. Most of them are all, like, ice. Now, some of that is mixed between ice, snow, and sleet. So if you look at the accumulation on each one of these, I still end up with a decent amount. But look at some of the cutoffs on this. I mean, like, this cutoff is right on that border. This one's north of me. This one's close to Central NC, Central NC. That one would be awesome. That would be awesome for the Carolinas if we could get, like, Ensemble 11 right there. I don't even know what Ensemble 20 is doing over here, delivering 9 inches of snow to Kitty Hawk. So, like, this is an outlier. This is an outlier. This is an outlier. These are all these are decent. Maybe an outlier. This is an outlier. Yeah, those are really your big outliers right there. 18, 20, 15, and 7, and a little bit of a question mark on 10. Yeah, and you can see Ensemble 10 keeps me completely under mixed precipitation to ice. Ensemble 15 has the low pressure way down in Georgia, as opposed to just east of Virginia. Ensemble 20 is just crazy. Not a lot of amplified snowfall there. Not a good low pressure on Ensemble 20, I suppose. And then 18 is just complete ice. So there's your winter storm watches. We have a bunch of winter storm watches out for much of Oklahoma, Arkansas, a good chunk of Louisiana, decent chunk of Texas. We will probably see the next chunk of winter storm watches tomorrow for these areas. Actually, probably not that far south. Probably for, like, these areas in here. Tomorrow, you guys will probably be put under a watch. And then tomorrow night into Thursday, we'll probably start getting the watches for over here. And then if we need any more, Thursday afternoon, we'll get the watches for up here if it's needed, wherever that may be. But, like, we have a chance for this to be insane. Like, we have a chance for everyone in this area here has a chance to be inside of a winter storm watch. Like, this entire region. The high-end scenario would put, like, everybody in here under a winter storm watch. Oh, yeah, for sure, warnings, Legacy. No matter what, you're going to get a winter storm warning. Same with me. If you are anywhere in this area, I'm going to show you. If you are anywhere in the dark, I'd say they don't really have... It depends on where you are, because, like, back out here, watches are lower criteria. So if you're in the yellow, you're pretty much guaranteed to be inside of a winter storm watch or warning in the future. Really in here. That's where I expect most people in that area should be under some type of watch or warning. Most likely a winter storm watch and then eventually winter storm warning. And then for ice, ice is probably going to be down in here. These will be mixtures of winter storm warnings for ice and possibly ice storm warnings. If we do get ice storm warnings, it will most likely end up being for like this region in here and possibly back in here. Those are the two most likely areas for ice storm warnings. Virginia going to get smacked. I hope we get smacked by a foot of snowfall, but like no more than that, because any more than that, then we're talking about big time impacts. Even a foot of snowfall will be pretty big impacts, but if we get more than a foot, we're talking about almost a crippling snowstorm for us. Even a foot of snowfall is more than what most have seen in the last 8 years in one snowstorm. But we gotta watch those trends because, like I said, we are definitely trending further north. We are for sure trending further north. If you take a look at yesterday's, which one was it? It was one of these. Yeah, there you go. Yesterday's run, the heaviest snow was focused like right in this corridor in here, right over my house. And then in 18Z, it's not really a huge shift north, to be honest with you. And you know why? That's because I didn't have the model pulled out. But there you go. It's definitely shifted pretty clearly to the north. And then you can see some huge uptrends. Huge uptrends for this portion of the country. Huge uptrends up there for the Mid-Atlantic. The northern Mid-Atlantic into the New England states. And then for like Central Tennessee, Legacy, honestly, you've just straight up uptrended so far. But those heaviest snowfall totals, it does have the newer run a little bit further to your north from Nashville Metro pointing to the northeast. Will Georgia be okay? Depends on where you are. If you're north of... here, I'll show you. Not really expecting much like north of probably Hawkinsville. The worst in Georgia is probably going to be in this area in here. Like that's a little over half the state. You got to be in far southern Georgia to be really good. West central Georgia, so if you're talking like Grantville area, yeah, you're probably going to be in a big time ice storm. Probably a half inch to an inch of ice. So you'll likely end up having some power issues going into Saturday and Sunday. Southwest Missouri, probably going to end up with about 6 inches of snow. Could uptrend, but right now looking at about 6 inches of snow around Springfield pointing to the southwest. Could we go under winter storm warnings? Most likely. Most likely. If not, they may put you under ice storm warnings. Oh, I did want to see... Let's see here. Columbia, Georgia. How far south is that? The further south you are, the less chance you have. Oh, Columbus, Georgia, not Columbia. I'm going to have to get this. That way I can figure out where these locations are. Okay, yeah, you're close. You're going to be on the edge of it. You might end up being like 2 counties from a winter storm warning or right on the edge of it. In terms of what you can get, it's going to be a mixture between rain and ice. Snow shouldn't really be much of a possibility down there. Maybe like some brief periods of snow, but mostly ice and some rain mixed in. Clean Texas. I think that's, yeah, central. That's what I was thinking. I think ice. I don't think it will be too much ice, but definitely enough to where I'd be worried about the chance of power going out. Yeah, you're looking at probably right about a quarter inch of ice, I'd say, between like a tenth of an inch to a third of an inch of ice. Enough that will be close to where you could be dealing with some power outages. Probably Friday is going to be your main day. Friday night into, let's see here. Yeah, Friday night into much of the day Saturday. And then maybe even into Saturday night too. Yeah, but the main ice storm at the moment, this is what it looks like. This is the most likely case scenario for ice. And you could see if you're in that red, that's the danger zone for dealing with days without power. And that stretches all the way from southeast to Midland, all the way through northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, maybe isolated spots into northern Alabama, and then back into North Carolina. That's your danger zone right now for a ice storm. Generally right in there. And that could shift a little north, a little south, or it could simply expand. Big questions on if it could expand. The European model run has like a big ice storm for like this entire area. It has a giant ice storm. Like we're talking one of the biggest ice storms we've seen in the country type of ice storm. Which hopefully that doesn't happen. That would be really bad. Why is this person using an outdated run? This was posted 30 minutes ago. They're using an outdated run of the National Blend of Models. Some people will do that. If there's a run that shows more snowfall, they'll go and use that run as opposed to the newest data just so they can make it seem like it's going to be a lot worse, even if newer data is starting to downtrend. All right, let's go to probability. Why? That is screwed up. Probability of a foot of snow. There we go. Yeah, that's your probability of a foot of snowfall right there. And that's really focused across Virginia right now. So you could see how it's like it's completely missing from the Northeast. There's like nothing, barely even any type of probability out here for a foot of snowfall. We have models that are absolutely just coding the Northeast in a foot of snowfall. And the blend of models is just saying, nah, not going to happen. It's still focusing on Virginia and North Carolina. And into a little bit of Maryland, too. Bristol, probably about a reasonable amount at the moment is about 9 inches to a foot of snow. Yeah, like the entire 18Z ensembles and everything trended north. Man. I knew it was going to happen too. I hope it doesn't continue into tomorrow, but it probably is. I'm going to end up with like 2 inches of ice instead of snow. This is probably going to be historic in the sense of um, a widespread swath of a foot of snowfall across much of the mid Atlantic. This doesn't do it justice. Let me show you. Like this, where we could see a foot of snowfall across like all of these areas being a possibility. And then if not for that, for the possibility of a historic ice storm down in here. And if not for that, the possibility of a historic blast of freezing cold air. Which if I go back to, let me see, this model run. Yeah, we're looking at, this doesn't even do it really. There you go. That's what I was looking for. We're talking about like 0 degrees to negative degree temperatures in the deep south going into Tuesday, about a week from today. So there's like 3 different ways where this could be historic. Yeah, everything's trending north, but it can trend back south. And I'm quite a bit surprised with how everything's trending further north, honestly. I didn't really think we'd see much of a northern trend. What I think it may be is it may be the fact that our kind of our low pressure back out there in like California, the driving factor for this winter storm. I wonder if that has trended further to the south, because this is what's going to cause our divergence into fluence aloft. That's what's going to cause our separation in the atmosphere to where we get a void, and we need to, we end up getting a bunch of moisture and a bunch of advection north from the Gulf to help fill in that void. And that's why we're trending possibly a bit more towards just a devastating ice storm. And this doesn't do... You should see the 18Z Euro. I doubt we're going to be live till that renders, because it takes like literally 3 hours later on these sites. But you should see that, because it's insane, the ice storm that has. The high pressure is moving out faster. Well, I mean, if we go to the Canadian run, it doesn't. The Canadian run just pushes the high pressure and gets it out of here. That's all the Canadian run does. And again, I have a feeling it's something to do with that low pressure being further south. Yeah, like if you take a difference between that low pressure here and here, that low pressure is quicker, and also it's about the same positioning, but just overall quicker. Yeah, I'm not happy about it, Catman. It's pushed everything north, and it's decreased like everybody's totals and taken all the southern US's totals and pushed them all north. Probably another storm where it's just going to be a nor'easter and nothing for the main mid-Atlantic and southern Midwest. I'm still good in the snow area. Well, good for you, Catman. Good for you. Let's see how much it gives you. Yeah, I mean, this shows like 11 inches for you. But that's the 10-to-1. I'm going to go look on this site real quick. I bet I can use this site. Yes, I can. I can't show you it, but I can at least look at it. And of course, it only has the 10-to-1 and not the one I want to use, but okay. I don't know. We'll see if it trends back south. Like I said, I'm honestly a bit surprised it's trended north all day today. It's probably going to keep going into tomorrow until the snowstorms up in Canada. That's what it feels like sometimes. Do you think that I can get snow? No, Sam. I don't. Now, I'm starting to debate if I can get snow, Sam. And I'm like, I don't even know, 150 some miles north of you. And I'm starting to think I may not get snow. Because it just keeps shifting more north. I know the National Blend of Models still paints like Central VA into my neck of the woods, but it's the fact that the ensembles and the deterministics are starting to shift further to the north, specifically with the newer runs. And if you compare like the 06Z runs to the current 18Z and 12Z runs, most of them have shifted a bit further to the north, if not a lot further north. Like, for instance, the 18Z 06Z, look how much further north that snow line is, even just on these two runs here. It doesn't even look like a huge difference, honestly, but really paying attention to that main bulk. That's what I guess I'll circle. Instead of the snow line further south, pay attention to how far south that purple area is right here. It's down to that line. And then watch the new run. It's way up here. So that's how much it's shifted that much in about 12 hours. 18, 12 hours or so. It's shifted that much to the north. So, I mean, if we keep going with that, soon it's going to be like way up here. And if it just keeps going all the way till day of, the thing's going to end up in literally like Pennsylvania. I'm not too sure it's going to trend further south, honestly. Because out here in Virginia, North Carolina, we got them stubborn things called the Southern Appalachians over here. Southern Appalachian Mountain Range, and those things always screw us over from everything. They take moisture from our severe events, moisture from our winter storm events. They take temperatures and warm up the temperatures as they cross the mountains. Now, on the mountains, the temperatures are really cold, but after you get past the mountains, it tends to be warmer. Like I said, it's still going to be an impactful storm no matter what. The thing is, it's about the ice and snow. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't want 2.3 inches of ice. I'd much rather have like 20 inches of snow. And really, anywhere in Georgia, unless you're in extreme northern Georgia, you're likely not going to get snow. Like, you got to be far northern Georgia. Like, we are talking near Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yep, it's mainly going to be ice down there. Really, all of Georgia, maybe with the exception of far northern Georgia, is just going to be straight ice. And the far southern portion of Georgia is probably going to be just rain. Auroras are popping off. Eh. At this point, I'm seeing them almost every other month. It's crazy how yesterday the snowstorm was uptrending from my area and the auroras just disappeared. And then today the auroras are going crazy and the snowstorm's disappearing. Gotta wait for recon. Nah, I'm calling it. No more snow for anybody. Except for Pennsylvania because everything trends north. Talk about an entirely different setup. Gracious day. Yeah, look at the difference between the location of the high pressure on the GFS versus the Canadian. So that's what allows, well, even the Canadian has like two high pressures actually, but I suppose that's what allows the storm to go more north because the high pressure is later to enter the US, so it can't set up like a block to where it blocks this area on the Canadian model run. And instead it allows that storm to rise further to the north. And it becomes a lot more amplified as well. You could just tell like this looks a lot more amplified. So what that means is there's more moisture streaming in like this, and you've got two low pressures trying to develop. So because those low pressures are pulling in moisture, it almost seems like it's helping to push the storm further north. Like if we go to the 12Z GFS here, you can see there's not really a low pressure happening here, and it doesn't have any indents. There is a weak low pressure beginning here, and there's not really many big indents there, so it's relatively just kind of like a almost like a zonal type of storm on this particular run. And then you go to the 18Z run, and you can see that more amplified look starting with both of those weak lows, which still not even much of a low pressure there in Georgia, but you could just see how that's helping to push the whole storm a bit more north. I'm sure the jet stream reflects that a bit too, and you can see the big difference too from our cutoff low. 12Z, your low pressure's way down here. That's where your trough is at 500 millibars. 18Z, your trough is like way up here. So that's also a huge difference with the GFS there. If we go to the Canadian run, you can see the Canadian is more in line with the new GFS. And then we'll see what the jet stream on the 18Z European model run says. But right now, most of the 18Z guidance from the Euro and the Euro ensembles have all shifted north. Imagine you get freezing rain. Wouldn't surprise me. I've been telling you this like the whole week that it was going to downtrend for me. But I mean, at least I'll get 2 weeks without power. No, there's plenty of time for it to trend further south. There's also plenty of time for it to trend all the way up to Ontario and completely miss the US. No, I'm just kidding. It won't do that. There's only so far that the high pressure can trend more north. It can only go so far north. I wonder how the NAM is. See, now I like the NAM a lot. I like that a lot. I love the NAM. High pressure already building in over Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa. That 540 line is still far south. What that means is it will end up being a scenario closer to the 12Z and 18Z GFS as opposed to the Canadian. Because if you look here, look at the difference. So high pressure on the NAM. High pressure's right here with the 540 line right in there. Canadian run. Your high pressure's back up here. And that 540 line is just a tad bit, quite a bit more north in my area, but in other areas, just a tad bit more north. I don't have, like I said, I don't have the 18Z Euro yet, so we can't compare that one. Even if we could, you could see this is the 12Z Euro, and you could see the 12Z Euro. It's kind of like a mixture of both. That 540 line is probably going to be very close to like right up in here. Maybe a bit further south, like right down in here. And that high pressure is going to be almost in the middle of both. Can't really see exactly where that 540 line is because I don't have any way to see the precipitation type on this. That's... Yeah, the Euro's also much slower. Which one's the outlier here? Okay, 18ZGFS is there. The Canadian's the outlier. The Canadian is the outlier here. The Canadian is quicker with the trough, which again, in return, keeps the high pressure further north. So, if we can trend further south, that is possible. There's a slim chance we could trend even further north. I'm honestly shocked again how far north it's already trended, but there is a slim possibility it could go more north. But if anything, I feel like a southern trend is almost more likely because our trough could slow down. I feel like maybe these are a little bit too fast with the trough. So like I said, if anything, the Canadian is the outlier between the three. When does the next run of our NBM happen? 1Z. So that's probably, it'll probably be done in like 2 hours. So if you want snow, you don't want the trends that are happening. If you want snow. That is unless you're in like New York or Pennsylvania because it is trending your way. But I mean, if you're anywhere in like this area here, you do not want these trends to continue. If you are in like, oh, even further south than that, like this entire area in here, you don't want these trends to continue. Because if they do, mark my words on this one, if we keep seeing this trend continue, we could be looking at like the ice storm of a decade here. Or maybe even longer than that. Because that entire area that I circled, much of that area would just be straight up 1 to 2 inches of ice. Now, of course, the further south you get, like especially central Alabama and southern Alabama, you guys wouldn't get nearly as much as like 2 inches of ice, but most of that area would just be straight ice. Massachusetts needs it. Last time I checked, you guys literally just had a winter storm like 3 days ago. Because I have family up there, and my family literally texted me. We got like 6 to 8 inches of snow on the ground, and we had to call out of work. So I don't know what you're talking about. You must live in a different state. Because my family up there literally said that they just got a snowstorm. The areas that could get like a foot of snowfall, Central Tennessee is almost snowless this season. Western Pennsylvania, which is where Pez lives, he's gotten almost 16 inches of snowfall, and almost the entire state of Massachusetts has gotten 1.5 feet of snow, with the northwest side of Massachusetts getting almost 3 feet of snow this season. The only place in Pennsylvania that needs the snow is Central PA. You guys have been avoided from the snowstorms. So I could see if you want snow there. But Western Pennsylvania, like, Pez, get out of here. You can get out of my chat. You don't need more snow. I've gotten 25 inches so far. Yeah, and the people who could get, like, upwards of a foot, like, out here in northern North Carolina, they've gotten, like, an inch at best this whole year. And this may be one of our last opportunities, too, because once we go into February, I'm sure we aren't going to be in this good of a pattern for southern snowstorms, probably for the next couple years, honestly. There's always a chance, honestly, there's always a chance every year, but this is a pattern that I would hate to see go to waste for people in, like, even, unfortunately, South Carolina, it's going to go to waste for you guys, but I hate to see that because it's a really good setup for North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. It's a great setup for you guys. But it's just not going to happen because we're going to have so much ice. I'm going to go back to the probability of a foot, or not a foot, 6 inches of snowfall here. I mean, we had a big snowstorm last year. We had a pretty good one out here, so I just don't want an ice storm. Like at this point, even if I just get like 6 inches of snow, I just don't want the ice. I don't want the ice. We get so many ice storms every year, and like none are full snowstorms. We get the snowstorms we get are quick 3 to 4 inch snowstorms, and we get like one of those a year. We get one of those a year typically. One. One snowstorm that has 3 to 4 inches, 1 or 2 a year. And then we get like 3 ice storms. We've already had like 2 pretty decent freezing rain events this year. At least I'm pretty sure we've had 2 or so. I'm not sure if I can check that. That might have honestly been last year. 2025 flew by. So I think a more southern trend is going to happen tomorrow. That's what I think. If we trend more north, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it if we trend more north. Because I literally, just to show you again how far north this thing's jumped. Here is one of our more northern jumps today on our model runs. And I'll show you actually a more accurate one, which is the GFS ensembles, actually. Which this is still south. This is probably going to go north. This ensemble at 0ZZ probably going to go more north with the way things have continued. But hopefully tomorrow goes a bit south. The Indiana, where are you again? Are you in central Indiana? You've already got your fair share of snow this season. Southern Indiana, okay, I can see. Especially like close to Evansville. But central Indiana, y'all have already got like a foot. You've already got a lot. I don't think you're at your average yet. But this snowstorm, Eastern Kentucky. You're in Eastern Kentucky? Where did I think you were in Indiana at? I thought you were in Central Indiana. I must be mistaken with someone else. What city? I don't know. I'm all over the place, I guess. Too many people. Too many people. Winchester. Yeah. I didn't think you were out there, honestly. For some reason, I thought you were in either Eastern Missouri or Central Indiana. What in the world? I was far off. Yeah, you're probably just going to get straight ice in Georgia. I mean, at this point, if these trends continue, you might just get straight rain. Honestly. Like, some of these runs are trending to straight up just rain for you guys. Okay, a lot of them are still ice for central and northern Georgia, to be honest. I was wrong. The European model run made it seem like you guys were actually trending to rain. But yeah, you could see like this little warm slot here. We'll have to see how far north that goes, which most of these models have it really affecting Alabama and not so much Georgia. So that should save central and southern Alabama from any big time impacts. Northern Alabama probably going to get some pretty big impacts. All right, let me go back to... Okay, still no European model run. Not really any new data we're going to get anytime soon. We'll get our 0Z data, but that's still like 3-4 hours out because our 18Z data just finished. I don't know what the what that scale goes by, honestly. I haven't done enough research into that scale to tell you. Trying to see if anything's popped up with the WSSI probabilities, see if that's changed. Yeah, I know, like, I've heard about the scale, and I know a few storms that have been rated on it, but, like, I don't know how it's classified. Like, is it classified by damage, by how widespread a foot of snow swath is, what's the highest snow total, what's the lowest snow total, what states did it affect, did it affect any major population? Like, I don't know what it's classified by. There's many things that it could be classified by that could change the rating of it ridiculously. All right, this was updated recently. All right, this was updated like an hour ago, 36 minutes ago. That time, you see that little gap at the time? I just noticed it. I gotta fix that. That is going to murder me. I gotta fix that, man. Where is it? I hate when there's tiny little gaps over it like that. Fix that tiny little gap. There we go. Perfect. All right, this is the chance of a level 3 out of 5 winter storm impacts Gracious State. That's much higher. OKC is almost in like a, yeah, you are in a 90 to 95 in OKC. And see, this hasn't shifted much north at all either. Okay, it did shift quite a bit north going into Monday morning, though. Major impacts definitely shifted north. I'm still in that 40 percentile, though, but the main 60 to about 80 percentile has definitely shifted more into central to northern VA. What about extreme? Those have also shifted considerably more north up to DC. Yeah, and you could see the ice storm with this. Like, this is all going to be ice. All these areas that get impacted are going to be ice. And you can see they do take into account that little warm nose that could happen in central and southern Alabama. So, yeah, there you go. Whoops. Yeah, so again, I think it is going to shift a bit south, but it may shift. I think it's going to shift a little bit more north overnight. The next 2 to 3 runs, maybe the 00 run, the 00Z run, maybe the 06Z run, and then tomorrow I think it should shift a little bit south. If not, it may maintain that northern tick. We'll just see. Like I said, I just don't want an ice storm. That's what I just don't want. I'd be okay with 6 to 8 inches of snowfall. I just don't want a freezing rain event in my area. I have too many of those, and they're very annoying. They are very annoying. If you haven't experienced one and you're in the risk area, you're about to realize why I've been yapping about why I hate ice storms. They are annoying, terrible. There you go. That blue area is where it's mainly all ice impacts. A little bit less, probably the highest uncertainty I have in this entire event is probably in my area. Like, this area probably has the utmost highest uncertainty. A very close second place would be back from where Legacy is back into Arkansas. That would be a very close second place. And then a third place would probably be on the northern side across like that entire far northern risk area from like central Kansas all the way till eastern Ohio. Those would probably be the three areas of most uncertainty right now. So I don't want to make it seem like it's downtrending in the sense of it won't be an impactful storm. It's downtrending for my neck of the woods in the sense of snowfall. It's probably uptrending in the sense of impacts because it's switching from like 12 or so inches of snow to like an inch and a half of ice. Let me see here. Give me just a moment, y'all. Okay. Yeah, it is going to be a huge storm too. Like this is probably one of our more likely case scenarios, except kind of shift that freezing line a little bit more north. If you shift the whole system like 20 miles to the north, that's kind of like our most likely case scenario. At least according to the new data, which I can't show. Wait. This is the 18Z. There you go. I didn't shift everything more north. Yeah, it kind of did. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. I mean, gracious day, it even has snow up into Chicago now. Like, how? One run, we went from snow staying in southern Illinois to freaking southeast Wisconsin. I almost want to call that an outlier. It's so insane. It has rain. That's got to be an outlier. I don't trust this. Now that I see it on a model run, I don't trust this. I mean, it is directly in line with the Canadian run. Maybe it's not an outlier. Maybe the other runs were just wrong in outliers, but we won't know till tonight or tomorrow. But either way, that looks a little bit too fishy to me. Seeing that much rain go that far north, that looks fishy. This should trend south. This has got to trend south. I don't believe that. And the location of that high pressure, no, I don't believe this at all. Where those two high pressures are, no way. How's the 500 millibar? Can I see that? I can see lower level jet, 500 millibar height anomalies. I don't want that. I want maybe this. Yeah. Look how, oh, no way. That trough shifted like another 50 miles north. The last time that happened, it was with the GFS, and then it shifted further south. Because look how consistent it was. It was pretty consistent on it being like right in here, and then this new one has shifted it east and northeast. If we go to the GFS is a bit further to the south, like the 12Z Euro was. And the Canadian should be, yeah, pretty much in line with the Euro. So we'll see what wins. If the GFS caves tomorrow, then we'll know that we're looking at a more northern ice and snow event. Now, that will rescue some of the southern states. You know, these areas in here will be more of mainly rain as opposed to ice. but that pushes all the ice more north too. So areas who, people who were thinking they could get snow now get ice. People who were thinking they would get ice now get rain. And people who think they will get nothing now get probably snow. Because again, look at how far north that snow line has shifted. That's the new run, and look at the old run. That's the old run right there. The pink line is the old, the black line is the new. I don't know if I believe that, y'all. That's just too big of a change too quick. I wish I could see all the European ensembles so that way I could see if this single deterministic is an outlier. I like how the Weather Channel says I could get 2 to 3 feet. What are you guys on? If I get 2 to 3 feet, I will never fuss about the Weather Channel again in my life. If I get 24 to 36 inches of snow, I will never fuss again. Because there is no way that is correct. This is why ever since I became a weather enthusiast, I stopped looking at the Weather Channel. It's honestly pretty rare that they are correct, to be honest with you. Imagine the Canadian is actually onto something somehow. I wouldn't mind too much because the Canadian still has me on the mixed snow line. So I end up with predominantly mainly snow for like 24 to 30 hours straight. And then the last 6 to 12 hours, I end up with a mix of sleet and snow. The problem with the Euro is it's just snow for 6 to 12 hours and then ice for 36 hours. That's the problem with the Euro. It's ice. The Euro is like all ice. The newest European run. Okay, now I still like Jim. Jim's awesome. I still like Jim Cantori. He's awesome. He's more of towards a field reporter though. It's just the Weather Channel that seems to be wrong, not him necessarily. Like I'm sure he didn't tweet 2 to 3 feet of snow possible for my area. So we'll just see which way things trend tomorrow, and we'll go from there. I'll be live again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, most likely. I don't know about content on Thursday. I'm very busy Thursday, but I'm going to try to do a live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. and a live stream Thursday at 6 p.m. And then Friday, depending on how this storm looks on Friday. Yeah, we may do an earlier live stream on Friday. We may do closer to like a 3 p.m. or so update on Friday. But probably live streams from here all the way till Saturday afternoon. I can't promise a live stream on Sunday or Monday because I doubt I'll have power either of those days. And honestly, Saturday I may not even have power either. So definitely going to stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll plan that. Thursday we'll try for 6 p.m. Eastern. Friday we're probably going to aim for a bit earlier of a live stream. And then Saturday and Sunday and Monday, we'll see how it looks like. And we'll see if I either A, lose power, or B, get buried in snow and still lose power. Hello, Parliament. Glad to see you in here. This almost looks like it changed to me again, honestly. This is the chance for 6 inches of snow. And to me, it looks like it somehow magically increased further to the north, but I suppose maybe I wasn't just looking that far north. So, yep. I I'm pretty sure that's about all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to do a bit longer of a live stream today because we had a lot to talk about. I didn't want to rush through all of it too quickly. So, again, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, share the stream, share the channel with your family, friends, social media. It's really, really appreciated, greatly appreciated. And if you want to get an update on this, maybe you're just now tuning in, you can either go back to the stream, watch the first about 30, 40 minutes or so, or you can just simply go to this morning's video that had a lot of this information piled into it in a 20-minute video. Or if you don't have like any time at all, you can go and watch my 1-minute YouTube short that I did earlier this afternoon. Really, any of them will be perfectly fine. The only thing that's really changed between now and this morning's stuff is that we've seen a bit more of a northern trend on things. So just if you do watch the video, keep that in mind. Things have trended a bit further to the north. That's really the only big difference. Which really didn't see that coming. Really didn't see this big of a northern trend happening, to be honest with you. But it did. We'll see if a big southern trend happens over the next 2 days or so. Probably not, though, because when does it ever? When does it ever trend south to your location? It always trends north away from your location or south away from your location. Rarely does it trend to your location. That doesn't happen to weather enthusiasts. It goes the opposite way. By the way, I got the new, somebody finally posted the freezing rain map. It shows a widespread amount of 1 to 2 inches of ice from eastern North Carolina through all of central NC, all of west NC, all of central and northwestern South Carolina, all of northern Georgia, all of northern Alabama, much of central and southern Tennessee, through much of the state. I didn't see the ice accumulation further to the west, but that's what it was for like the mid-Atlantic and southern Midwest. A huge area of 1 to 2 inches of ice. That was the new European model run. I don't know if I said official forecast. I didn't mean to say that if I did. I meant the new European model run. I don't know what the NWS is forecasting. I don't think we have any other forecast graphics yet. We won't get that stuff, at least for my neck of the woods, for the next 48 hours. Let's see here. Let's see if they did a discussion. Yeah, they did do a new discussion for my neck of the woods. They still say Saturday should be a pure snow forecast for the entire region of National Weather Service Blacksburg. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Plenty of time for it to shift further south, right? We'll see what the 0Z model runs do tonight. Hopefully they don't trend more north. Start preparing for like 3 inches of snow, freaking 2.5 inches of ice or something. Dude. 1/4 inch of ice knocks out my power for upwards of 3 days. So imagine what like 2 inches of ice would do. Simple math, you could be looking at almost 3 weeks without power. I doubt it would be that bad, but I'd probably be at least a week or so without power if I got about 2 inches of ice. So hopefully not. But all right, that's going to be it for this stream. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me just get this fixed there. There we go. I will see you guys at 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for another update, and then most likely 6 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll probably have a bit earlier of a live stream. Unless I think we should do a little later of a live stream. We'll just have to see. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday are all iffy. They're all based on if I have power or not, and what things look like once we get closer to that time frame. So again, if you have time, you can rewatch the first 30 to 40 minutes or so of this live stream. That will give you the most up-to-date information. If not, you can watch the video from earlier this morning. Just know that our snow line has trended a bit further north. And if you don't have time to watch that 20-minute video, you can watch the quick 1-minute YouTube short that I did earlier this afternoon, which still is relatively up-to-date with information. So with that being said, we're going to head to the ending screen. Of course, our per usual 3 minutes of outro music. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in once again. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, share this stream with your family, friends, social media, and subscribe to the channel with the notification bell set to all so you know when I go live again, which will likely be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. And if you haven't already, to support this channel further, you can go and watch that video again, hit the like button on that, share that video. It's greatly appreciated. I thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you all the mods for modding chat. Again, we'll be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Till then, I hope you guys finish those preparations. If you are in the risk area that we talked about today, try to get those preparations finished as soon as possible, as people will start panicking really today. People are already starting to panic. So stay safe, watch for your weather, watch the snowfall. Thank you, mods, for mod chat, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Goodbye. Thank you, mods, for on chat. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Have a great rest of your Tuesday night. Goodbye.